Hey guys, and welcome. This is a continuation of my reloading journey. I've been doing that for about 40 years, so it's a long journey. It's a long, drawn out journey. Today I think we're going to be reloading something what I call fairly easy. A lot of the loadings that you all see me do, I'm actually developing load data. There's no load data out there for the particular rounds that I reload for. So a lot of it is just a lot of trial and error on the backside that you all don't see. Trying to develop you all a good load for, such as for the Acme bullets. That way you all can just go over to Acme and get their bullets and reload them up. The load data is already kind of there for y'all. Just make sure you watch the disclaimer and know that you're doing that at your own discretion. Don't forget Acme bullet coupon code 053115. But today we're going to be reloading up some Sierra. These here. Let me see if I can get a good view for y'all. Okay. These are the 30 caliber, 308 diameter, 125 grain hollow points. We also have these here. Okay. These are the Sierra Tipped Match King 125 grain bullets. Okay, we're going to be using, there we go, some IMR 4227 powder with some CCI small rifle primers. Of course, since we're going to be loading for more of a precision round, we're going to be doing it over here with the Redding press and Redding dies. This load should be really simple. I just pulled it right out of Sierra's book. So we're just going to take their information and then we're going to go out and test them. The good thing about that is Sierra's done all the background work for us. It should be really simple for us to just load some of these up, go to the range and have a good accuracy load. I do a lot of casting, a lot of powder coating my own bullets. What these are is, I always like to have a full metal jacket version of a bullet, A, for precision, and B, because you can use them to clean out the fouling out of your barrel at the end of it. Just makes it easier after you shot a long day of shooting cast bullets, with coatings on them, to clean the barrel out, make sure everything's pretty clean, so when you come back and clean your firearm, it's just easier to clean it that way. So that's why I like to have, all these jacketed bullets, and that's pretty much the only reason I shoot jacketed bullets anymore. A, because I like the precision aspect of the jacketed bullets, and B, I use them to clean out the barrel, so when I come home, it makes it easier to clean the gun up. Okay? But that's the only reason. As far as expense, it's a whole lot more expensive to shoot jacketed coated bullets, so as much as I shoot, or as much as I like to shoot, it's better for me to use a Acme bullet or to make my own cast bullets. But today we're going to go ahead and use Sierra load data, so it should be pretty simple operation. We're just going to set it up. They are going to give us the overall case link. They're giving us all the great information. You can just go over to get Sierra's load data manual and you can see this. All right, so we're going to go ahead and get the die set up. We're going to go ahead and get the powder thrown so we can make sure that we're throwing the right amount, and we'll come back and we'll show you some of the reloading. Okay, when I'm doing precision rounds, I like to use Redding equipment. To me, Redding is the best precision equipment on the market, and I know a lot of people are going to argue with that, but that is my personal choice. Okay, inside the set we have a neck sizing die, we have a full length sizing die, we have a bullet seating die right here. Okay, and then I bought a Lee factory crimp die. Okay, that's really easy for me to set up. I hardly ever show my die set up because a lot of people watch this channel are experienced reloaders, but I thought today we would go ahead and just show you. Okay, so what I do is I take my full length resizing die, and I'm going to tell you guys, I hardly ever just neck size anything. If I'm going to size something, I use my full length sizing die. If I need to just where my neck is being sized to, I just screw the die in and out a little farther. Back a long time ago, I thought we had to have neck sizing dies, and I'm here to tell you at this point, I probably will never buy another neck sizing die. again, because you eventually have to full size anyway, resize anyway, and I can just go ahead and set this full size die up to where I need it to be. All right, so we're down touching the shell plate. Okay, once I touch the shell plate with the full length sizing die, I just lock the ring in. Okay, the next die that we're going to set up is the bullet seating die. Okay, on jacketed bullets, you don't have to flare the case to get the bullet to seat correctly. So once again, I just run it down until it completely touches the shell holder. Now some of these dies have a, what I call a slip part on it, where it allows the case to be guided up in the die, and so you got to set the depth to that. This particular die does not have one of those, so therefore I go down and I touch the shell holder, and I just back it off about a half turn or so. That way it's just not making full contact with that shell holder. On certain rounds I will touch the shell holder, but on this particular application I found that, you know, the longer the bullets and stuff, especially with those tipped kings, I like to be able to use my seating stem a little bit differently. So therefore I don't have it touching the shell holder, I just back it off just a smidge. But that's what I do, it works great for me. Next I take the crimp die. We're going to have to add a lock ring to it. Run it all the way up to the top. Okay. The reason I take the lock ring off, just to get everything together in one box. It will not fit in my box, so I just take the lock ring off, no big deal. On that die, because we're not for sure where we're going to set that just yet, I'm just going to run it into the press and adjust it when I go to that stage, the crimp stage. Okay, we already have the lube applied to our cases. This is my official case lube tray. It gets all gooey. I like to keep things neat and organized. For me, it's the only way I can work. I don't like a lot of clutter and I don't like a lot of junk, so I try to keep things neat and organized. Okay, from there, we're just going to run it up into the full-length resizing die. We're going to look at it to make sure everything looks okay, and it does. And then I turn it back upside down into my tray. The reason I turn it upside down in the tray is so I know exactly which ones I've done and which ones I haven't. Okay. The neat thing about 300 Blackout is once you size them and you trim them, normally they do not grow when fired, so I can just run them in the full size die here and they come out ready to load. That's the neat thing about 300 Blackout. They don't grow very much, but it's always good to get your calipers out and to check them to make sure that they don't need to be retrimmed. I use both digital calipers and dial calipers. I like to use the digitals for the filming because it just makes it where you all can see it. Okay, the 300 Blackout trim to case length is 1.363. I usually try to go about 1.358 range. So if it's a little over, I'm going to say my spec is 1.355 to 1.360. Okay, that's where I like it to be. But normally about the 358 range, and you can see we're right there. So no need to trim these today. Go ahead and load some more. Okay guys, I'm gonna go ahead and get these resized and we'll come back when we're throwing powder. As we're here, we're adding powder. Okay, throwing it right from the Redding powder charger. I don't know if you all can see, but that is a very, very full case. Okay, so full in fact, that even when I tap it down, it's still just a smidge below the rim. So you want to talk about a compressed charge, but this is what the book says. I don't like filling my cases that full, to be honest with you. You know, it kind of worries me. Okay, especially when we're seating the bullet about that far in. So therefore, this is going to be a very compressed charge. But that's what Sarah says we need to do. So that's what we're going to do. We're just going to seat it slow to make sure that it goes in. It is an awkward looking bullet. Awkward looking cartridge. I'm trying to do better for y'all. You can see the bullet is just about as big as the case. Okay, so they said that we need to set it at, I'll put my calipers over here, set it at 2.250. So that's about where we are. We need to back out just a smidge, but we're pretty close to that. Dropped it on the floor. That was my Elvis Ammo impersonation. But there it is, guys. We're going to go ahead and do a couple more before we bring you back to make sure that our overall case length is correct. But yeah, that's a very compressed charge. Off camera, we're starting to get a consistent reading. Okay. So therefore, everything's set up right according to the serial load data. Now, like I said, these are a little bit more compressed than what I personally like, because, man, that is full. Look at that. So even when you kind of tap it down a little bit, it's still up there, okay? So when we put the bullet on top of the case, I try to take it kind of slow. We'll see if I can get my big fingers out of the way here and show y'all. Try it like this. Well, not that one, because they hit the deck. Okay. As you can see, we're compressing that charge in there pretty good. But that's what the serial load data manual says we need to do. So we're going to load up a few of these. We might just step outside there. I know we're not supposed to shoot outside anymore, but I might just step outside there and let a few rip before we do too many of these. As we went out there and we went ahead and chroned them, hopefully nobody will be too mad at me. Okay, we'll review it. The first one there was 2054. Okay, then we got another 2054. Then we got a 2067, a 2057, a 2026. That was actually our first shot there, so that was with a clean, unfouled firearm. So our high was 2067. Our low was 2026. Okay, our average was 2051, and that was the majority of our shots were right around that range, so that's good. Our spread's a little off there, but that's okay. You know, most of them, if we would have had a clean gun, I'm sure would have been pretty close. As you notice that all the ones there at the end fired fairly close together, and we're getting duplicates with a standard deviation of 15. So what does really that mean? Here's the grouping, and that grouping is not very good we were probably shooting at 10, 15 yards. And the reason why the grouping wasn't good, I was just trying to see to make sure we had some kind of consistency and not to shoot the chronograph. This chronograph here has probably been shot about 15 times now. It's getting pretty beat up. I mean, you can probably see right there where one skipped off there. You can see that it's busted apart here. the back here, you can see where one skipped right down the center, and then, of course, this has been shot many times and all bent. So I was mainly not trying to shoot the chronograph is what we were trying to do. So the groupings were not really what, you know, I was going for. I was just making sure we were getting some kind of consistency and we weren't getting keyholes. And we were. The book says we should, with that particular load, we should be getting about 20, just right at 2,000 feet per second. So we're not that much higher, you know, 50 feet per second. It's not really bad at all. But I might tame that down just a smidge and then load those up. You know, out at distance, with that group that I got on paper, I'm telling you, it's going to be a really, really good group even with that. But I think because we are getting 50 feet per second more, I'm going to tone it down just a couple grades. Not a lot, but just a couple. All right, we're going to get back to reloading. After the chrono, we decided to go ahead and dial it down a little bit. Okay, so what we're going to use now is 18.5 grains of the IMR 4227. Okay, it does lower the case fill just a smidge, but hardly any at all. See if we can get it on there for you. I turned my phone around, so now the camera's in a different spot. But as you can see, it's about the same on there. But what it does do is have a little less compression on the charge. So we're going to go ahead and load it down just a little bit. Try to drop that feet per second around the 2,000 feet per second range. They say that is the range where they're getting their best accuracy with this particular bullet for 300 Blackout. Now 300 Blackout is not a precision round. It's just not, but we're trying to get the best precision we can so we can test that when we're using it against our cast bullets. We'll have a base to go by. So that's what we're going to do. We got 26 of those loaded back up. I threw in one extra just for fun, I guess. Can't count. Now we're going to go ahead and load up the regular Match Kings. So we have this here at tipped Match King. And now we're just going to load up the regular Sierra Match King. There's no difference between these two. How we're going to load them up, we're going to load them at the same length and we're going to use the same amount of powder. Now it will look a little different in the case. We're going to have to measure our overall case length because of the tip. The tip is going to be different. But we're going to go ahead and start loading up a few of these. These are item number 2120. Okay, what we're using here is just like I said, just straight out of the Sierra Load Data Manual. We're throwing 18 grains of the 4227. We're doing an overall case length of 2.250 or 2.150. Let me check it out. Let me see. We're just going to go ahead and recheck and make sure. All right. All right. 2.250. That's what we're using. We're going to go ahead and use that same number for both sets, but we will have to adjust the seating die just a little bit because of the fact that it's got a tip and these other ones will not. Okay, now we're going to go ahead and throw some powder. All right, like I said, these are basically testing the two different bullets to see how they're going to work in the 300 Blackout. I think they're going to both shoot great. Like I said, 300 Blackout is not necessarily a precision round, so we're just going for good accuracy so we can compare all of our other 300 Blackout loadings to them. You know, if these get, let's say, 1.5 inch group at 100 yards, I'm fine with that. But I can use that as a gauge for all the other bullets that I shoot to see the accuracy of the gun. You know, you can't just assume that every gun's going to shoot half MOA. You have to figure out what the accuracy of your gun is. So therefore, if I load these up, I will know I have the best round for my particular bullet, for my particular gun, to test all the other bullets that I shoot. So let's say I load these up and I do get 1/2 inch MOA groups out of this firearm. Then I know if I'm getting 3 or 4 inch groups with another bullet, then that's a problem. That's not a good loading. If I shoot these up and I get 1.5 inch loadings and I'm getting a 2 inch group with my cast bullets, I know that's a good loading. So there's a lot of reasons to do this, to use a good match grade bullet to figure out what your rifle will shoot. That way that you can have a baseline to go by, because if you never establish a baseline, if you're constantly changing bullets and you're constantly changing powders and you're constantly moving the the grains up or down, you can't establish the baseline. So that's what we're doing with this firearm. We have our baseline bullet for our 223, and now we're getting our baseline bullet for our 300 Blackout. Okay, here's a little comparison of the two. Load it up. See, the one definitely has a tip and the one definitely does not have a tip. So there they are, loaded up in all their glory. Can't wait to get to these out to the big range so we can get them all tested up and shot up. Okay, the crimp we're going to be using on these is just a very light crimp. Just enough to put a little bit of kiss on there just so we can keep them in the, without moving around into the magazine. And that's all we're putting on there. It's just a very, very light crimp. And we're going to test that and see how that works. If we need to come back and do a more crimp, then we will. But as of right now, this really light crimp will probably be good enough. If I have to, when I'm at the range and I see that we're getting some bullet migration, what I will do then is I will just load it maybe 2 or 3 at a time and shoot those. And then the next time I load these, I'll know that I need to put more of a crimp on the bullet. All right, guys, there's the video. Hopefully we can get to the range tomorrow. It's supposed to be raining, but we're gonna try to beat the rain. I'm getting tired of sitting around. You know, I've been sitting around a lot so it's time to start shooting. It's time to get out there and start having some fun again. All right, guys, appreciate it.